everyone. Time is 9 a.m. and I'm going over to the Changi Museum. I have my Frommer's guide as well as my city guide, the wallpaper city guide, which is not that great by the way. But yeah, one of the things that I felt I should know more about is our World War II history. When I went to Berlin, there was so much history on Nazis and the Stasis as well, but I felt I didn't know anything about our World War II history in Singapore, and for a country that had been occupied by Japan for quite a long time, I thought that there had to be something like a museum on that horrible time. Hey guys, so behind me is the Changi Museum, and you can see the chapel from there inside. There's the chapel. I apologize because I'm taking this on my own. It's not like I have anyone with me, but basically what happened was during the Japanese occupation, the Japanese army would march the British Allied soldiers and the Allied European soldiers prisoners here, and this was where they would be kept as prisoners and suffering, from diseases due to the overcrowding, and actually this chapel is a replica of the actual one, which was actually built out of wood, and so that the prisoners could have some hope. So they built that for themselves. Yeah. So I'm gonna go in now and see what there is. Unfortunately, I'm not allowed to take videos or photographs inside, so yeah, my bad. Should have probably checked that out before I came here, but yeah, it should be good. So this is the chapel. Well, it's a replica of it. It was actually rebuilt at the request of former POWs and their family and friends. The original was built by the POWs out of wood and a tap, and Reverend Koo was the prison chaplain at that time. As I said earlier, living conditions were horrible for the POWs, so the chapel really served as a symbol of hope for them, and a symbol of unity as well, because Christians of different denominations would gather in it. So this is pretty significant. Hey guys, so I just spent an hour in the museum and I thought it was pretty amazing. A lot of history on the Second World War and how the Singaporean prisoners and Singaporean POWs had survived during the Japanese occupation and when Singapore was renamed Sayananto. What was really quite insightful for me was how the human spirit could survive under such harsh and horrible conditions. One of the perhaps more moving thing for me as well was to see Corporal Breavington's story there, and how he remained so brave even towards the end when he died by firing squad and saluting his officers. And there's actually a poem about him as well called A Corporal and His Pal, and if you have time you should read it. It's really quite touching. The other thing as well is you have a lot of the Singapore heroes who helped and protected people during that time. So you have Seng, you have David Marshall, the Singapore Volunteer Corps, yeah, and Second Lieutenant Annan as well, who fought that really bloody battle at Pasir Panjang, and very little do you hear about them usually. sweating here. And yeah, I definitely recommend Singaporeans who haven't come here to calm down, and people who are going to NS or who are in NS, and you know, you should come down and see this, because this is basically why we're doing national service. It's, you know, so that something like this doesn't happen again. Hey guys, so I didn't actually end up going to the Kranji cemetery, so I thought what I'd do is I'd read the Corporal and His Pal poem. I'll just read like maybe just part of it because it's pretty long. But yeah, to sort of mix it up, I'm just gonna put a photo of Corporal Breavington. Yeah, because everyone's probably sick of seeing my face. The Corporal and His Pal. He stood, a dauntless figure, prepared to meet his fate. Upon his lips a kindly smile, one arm around his mate. His free hand held a picture of the one he loved most dear, and though his hand was trembling, it was not caused by fear. No braver man ever faced his death before a firing squad, then stood that day upon the square and placed his trust in God. He drew himself up proudly and faced the leering foe. His rugged face grew stare. I ask one favor before I go. Grant unto me this last request that's in your power to give. For myself I ask no mercy, but let my comrade live. Then turning to the guardhouse, where his sad-faced colonel stands, a witness to his pending fate, brought here by Jap command. He stiffens to attention, his hand swings up on high. To head brim in a swift salute, I'm ready now to die. They murdered him in hatred, prolonged his tortured end. In spite of all his pleadings, they turned and shot his friend. They said it was an example of what they had in store for others who attempt escape whilst prisoners of war. Example, yes, of how to die and how to meet one's fate. Example true of selfless love a man has for his mate. And when he reaches heaven's gate, the angels will be nigh, and welcome to their midst a man who knew the way to die. Whilst here below in letters gold, the scroll of fame ever shall the story tell of how they died, the corporal and his pal.